is what the paradigm, what the construct is. See, the paradigm has shifted. We're here 400 years now. So the paradigm has shifted. And one could argue then that because the paradigm has shifted, we have to build a new construct. I guess the question is what the construct is, what the model is for how we get the most out of Black America, organizationally, individually. What's that construct? What's that model? What do we do that allows us to squeeze the most out of these texts, but more importantly, out of everyday people, putting these texts into action? What's the model to get the most out of Black America 400 years later? How do we make this happen?
Tavis, first, you should not be the least bit concerned about calling on me last. The fact is that I've had the privilege of sitting here and listening to some very bright minds give great responses to some great questions. I'm all good.
Thank you.
I'm all good.
It's always good to be on the good side of the president of the NAACP.
Now, in order to respond, I need to take a lighthearted moment to tell a story about a very important word and then move forward. Several of you have used the word accountability in your responses today. That's a very important word to me. And I've got something in my lexicon that I refer to as the accountability ladder. And I want to tell you about that ladder, and I want to do it at the expense of my son, but I've done it in front of him before, so he won't be mad at me.
I don't mean he likes it, but go ahead anyway.
The accountability ladder has 8 rungs. The lower 4 rungs are people who are unaccountable, and they're victims. And too much of what we do in our movement today is a function of acting and thinking like victims. Accountable people who are at the top 4 rungs of the ladder are powerful people. So when you're accountable, you're powerful. Now here's the quick story. Young Tarn Gordon came home as a high school kid many years ago and had a long look on his face. And I said, what's wrong? He said, I got a project due tomorrow and it's not ready. And I said, why not? He said, because I didn't realize until today that it's due tomorrow. That's the lowest rung of unaccountability, which is unconscious, unaware. I didn't know. So I said, why is it that you didn't know? And he said, the teacher didn't make it clear. That's the next rung on that ladder, which is blame others. Well, not my fault, it's her fault. And then I said, so what are you gonna do about it? He said, nothing I can do about it. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. The school bus comes 8 o'clock on Thursday morning. I'm out of time. Nothing I can do about it. And that's the 3rd rung on the accountability ladder, which is called I can't. Nothing I can do about it. So I then said, so if that's the case, by the end of the marking period, what kind of grades are you going to get in this class? He said, well, it's only the middle of the marking period. There may be a couple more tests before the marking period's over, and I might get a chance to work this out. That's the 4th rung on the unaccountability ladder, called wait and hope. All right? Now, victims are people who don't know there's a problem. If they know there's a problem, blame it on somebody else. Or they say there's nothing I can do about it. Or they say, we all know unaccountable people, by the way. Or they say, well, I'm just going to wait this out and things might take care of themselves. That's all victim-oriented thinking. That's not accountable thinking. Accountable people, here's what Tarn could have said when I saw that long face and said, what's wrong? He could have said, Dad, I messed up. Got a paper due tomorrow. Should have had it done by now. Wasn't paying attention, snuck up on me. I got a crunch. That's the first rung of being accountable, which is acknowledging reality. Now, once he acknowledged reality, what he could have said was, so here's what I'm going to do. This is electronic age. This is the age of the internet. As somebody earlier today said, you can Google anything. All the information you could want is at your fingertips. So here's what I'm going to do, Dad. I'm going to crunch on this. The bus doesn't come until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's 6 o'clock at night. I got all this time. I got 14 hours to get this right. I got 14 hours. So that's finding a solution. And then he could have said, and by the way, Dad, you're a pretty smart guy. You could really help me with this. But even if you don't, I'm going to do it myself. That's called owning it. And finally, powerful people make it happen. So if you acknowledge our reality, and we do that, and we find solutions to those problems, and we own the responsibility for getting those problems addressed, whether anybody helps us or not, and we go out and we make it happen, that's what accountable, powerful people do. So that's my definition of accountability. Now, so in that, you feel me on this? So, and a little digress here, by the way. It was okay with me that after Dr. Hare, you called on Brother Wade. So I also wasn't mad at you about that, just so you know. But in the new paradigm, Dr. Hare said something. Dr. Hare said, in this context of leaders, she said, you are the leaders. You don't have to wait for one, right? See, that's what she was saying in her own way is, you got to be accountable. You got to be accountable. We have to organize our efforts. You've written a book on the covenant, which is the what. You've written the second book, which is the how. The real question is who or whom? And the answer is you. The answer is us. The answer is accountable people have to choose to be activists and get out and make something happen. So what is the new paradigm? The paradigm is civil rights is not a spectator sport. Civil rights is not something that you participate in by sitting in the stands and making judgments about what other folks aren't doing. That's not accountable.
Say it, Bruce.
Accountable is getting off your butt and getting involved in something and being accountable for finding solutions and making them happen. People say to me, Bruce, what is the NAACP doing? And you know what I say? Are you a member? And then I say, what are you doing? You see, understand something about the NAACP. Understand this and understand it well. 400,000 people across this country pay dues so they can volunteer to be social activists to help you. They got jobs, they got other things to worry about, but in addition to worrying about their families and worrying about their jobs, they pay money to be accountable activists. And the day that we decide that we will choose as individuals to be accountable and associate ourselves with organization, because power comes in numbers, power comes in structure, power comes in scale, not in just one. When we decide to do that, that's the model. The model is not waiting for the next great leader. There's not going to be a Dr. King. There's only one of them. There's not going to be another Malcolm. There's only one of them. And here's the final thing you got to understand about this. I get a little emotional about this, so pardon me. But here's the deal. I look at Dr. King. I look at Medgar Evers. I look at those who came before us, and I know something about them, because history has made it clear. These men and women were willing to die for the future, for their children. You wrote, and I'm telling you, Tavis, you don't know how many times I have quoted the first page of the covenant. It is in just about every speech that I give, and you've heard it several times today. I'm going to say it again. The eyes of the future are looking back at us and praying that we will see beyond our own time. Here's the issue. Are we willing to die for the future? Are we willing to die for our children? Are we willing to be accountable activists who will come out of the stands, onto the field, into the game, and change America for the good of our people? The new paradigm is accountable activism, it's organization, it's leveraging our power, and you have demonstrated through the course of today and yesterday that we have maybe not all the power we want, but we absolutely have all the power we need. All we got to decide to do is to use it.
That was a powerful stuff.